competitive again. That is why the rescue plan for Greece is not only to keep us afloat, it is an investment in a different Greece, a Greece that is confronting problems that were overlooked for decades. We have passed unprecedented reforms in the matter of months. Yes, we are making this crisis an opportunity. And I can assure you that your investment in Greece will not keep us stuck in the past. It is an investment to move Greece into the future. What is Greece's future? Well, let me begin with what we must change from the past. First of all, Greece does have great potential. We are not a poor country. We were a mismanaged country. So total transparency and accountable governance are our priorities. Let me give you an example. Every single euro spent by the government is now published online for every citizen to see. When we computerized medical prescriptions for one pension fund a few months ago, we had a decrease in costs by over 35%. With our first electronic procurement of medical equipment, we cut the final bill to 1/6 of the estimated costs. But we still have much to do, and this is a project very complex and time-consuming. That is why I have asked for technical help and best practices from other countries with the support of the European Union Commission. And, for example, the German SAP will be very important in restructuring, reorganizing our public civil service. The Greek public sector was one of our major obstacles to growth, competitiveness, and investment. Very soon, this will no longer be the case. Whether it is setting up a business, getting building permits, or dealing with tax offices, we are simplifying procedures and cutting red tape. We have already consolidated local government from 49 regions to 13. So bad management of our resources was one problem. Lack of competitiveness was another. That is why we have passed a law, for example, effectively July 1st, to liberalize dozens of closed professions. Here, easy money did not help either. Let me give you another example. Over the last 30 years, Greece has received important sums for agriculture. Yet the way the EU's common agricultural policy subsidized Greek products made in Greece made Greece less competitive rather than more competitive. From an exporter of agricultural products, we became a major importer. For a country with products with a worldwide brand name, our olive oil, our feta, our fruit, our Cretan diet, this was unthinkable, yet it was true. Now we are again becoming an exporter. We are investing in quality products, organic foods, green agriculture. Working with our business community, this year exports hit a historical record high, not only in agriculture, but also in construction materials, in medicines, in fish farming, in metals. This year, our exports are up 40%. Tourism is another area where we have made the most of our comparative advantages to boost revenues. We had lost markets, but now we are targeting new markets, increasing quality and reducing prices, liberalizing cruise ships. Again, we reached historical highs, over 16.5 million visitors to Greece this year. We have launched an ambitious privatization program to attract infrastructure, energy, and real estate investment, starting with the extension of the Athens Airport concession and the sale of 30% of its shares, the extension of 2 gaming licenses, and the sale of the state lotteries. There has been impressive interest in Greek harbors and airports. And from where? From emerging markets, wanting access to European markets. They see Greece's tradition in shipping and easy access to ports in the East as an ideal hub. Those who have already expressed interest are China, India, Korea, Australia, Brazil, even Argentina. We are working with Qatar. They are investing in our banking sector and many other areas. In Germany, you have shown the way in developing renewable energy. With our natural assets, Greece has every reason to follow your lead. One of our most ambitious new projects is called Helios, the Greek word for sun. We intend to develop photovoltaic units up to 10,000 megawatts and export this energy to countries such as Germany. An investment in Greek sun yields 50% more than in Germany for obvious reasons: sunshine. This is a win-win project for us both. Both green energy and waste management are at a nascent stage in Greece. So here there is a dynamic, emerging market ripe for investment. So these are only some of the many bright prospects Greece holds out in the near future. So when I am asked, where is the European taxpayers' money going? I say, first of all, we are borrowing to repay. But secondly, we are investing in our strengths, not to become more dependent, but to become more autonomous, not to live on borrowed strengths, but to create our own Greek strengths. And there are many traditional strengths we have, which we lost, which we have to reinvent to make them modern in this globalized economy. But today, every Greek is still bearing the burden of past excesses. We are now in the middle of a very painful process of fiscal consolidation. And we know there is still much to be done. But we have already achieved a lot. In 2010, we achieved the largest annual fiscal consolidation ever by a Eurozone economy, a reduction of 5% of GDP in deficits. For 2011, we have set an ambitious target of an additional 3% and have taken very difficult measures to achieve it. From a huge primary budget deficit in 2009, I am confident that Greece will have a primary surplus in 2012. We reduced our primary deficit by 5.4% in 2010. To give you a sense of the scale of this effort, the equivalent in Germany would be a reduction of over 100 billion euros in a single year. As your Finance Minister Wolfgang Schäuble has pointed out, the Greeks have reduced their deficit to an extent that in terms of Germany would correspond to a savings amount of 125 billion. That would be more than a third of the federal budget. But of course, these changes are hurting. Major reforms in our pension system, education system, major overhaul of our public salary policies, major changes in our tax system have made these systems more transparent, more equal, and more just. Yet there are cuts, and the cuts are hurting Greek citizens whose pay packets have shrunk, whose pensions and benefits have been cut. Drastic measures have dramatic impact on the living standards of our citizens. Hard-working taxpayers who have been asked to make enormous sacrifices to support the country, and they are doing so. Now, of course, many Greeks feel that they have little left to give, except a spirit of change, which we need to kindle, we need to nurture, we need to encourage. That is why the persistent criticisms leveled against Greece are deeply frustrating. Frustrating not only at the political level, where a superhuman effort is being made to meet stringent targets in a deepening recession, but frustrating also for the Greeks who are making these painful sacrifices and difficult changes. We are not asking for applause. We are not even asking for people to say that this is going to be an easy project. We need years to make these major changes. But we are simply asking for respect of the facts. And you, as business people, you know that inspiration, innovation, and motivation are important parts of success. If people feel only punishment and scorn, this crisis will not become an opportunity. It will become a lost cause. And we are determined, the Greek people are determined, to make this a success. Thank you. And when many ask me, but do you have the support? My first answer is, that is not my problem. I have said, I am here to work for my country, save the country, change the country, whether I am re-elected or not, is not my problem. My problem is to save the country.
Well, as you can hear, rapturous applause there for George Papandreou, Greek Prime Minister, addressing business leaders in Berlin, in which he made some very clear points that this is double-edged as far as he sees it. They are making big cuts, but at the same time they need help. As he said, inspiration, innovation and motivation. If it's only punishment and scorn, he says, then this will fail. Let's just listen into a bit more of what he has to say.
I understand the political difficulties in our European family, as one country wonders why it should support another for its past mistakes, or why some countries should take so much pain for a crisis that began with the banking system. But as I have said, this is not an investment in past failures. This is an investment in future successes, our common success. But now Europe must go one step further. We must prove to the markets that we have a firm grip on the debt crisis and that we are determined to resolve it together, because our common future depends on it. Whenever I think of Europe's future, I also remember Europe's past. In the bloody and bitter aftermath of the Second World War, Europe decided to make business, not war. This was not just an economic objective. It was above all a profoundly political objective: to build a Europe free of destructive nationalism, ethnic hatred and poverty. Caught up in the current crisis, it's easy to lose sight of the bigger picture. But let's try to get some historical perspective on our union. A union of nations with a history of violent conflicts, a union of nations whose borders have often been disputed, a union of nations with all kinds of political systems and competitive differences. Only a few years ago, Greece was emerging from a dictatorship, cut off from its immediate neighbors because of the Cold War, in a costly arms race with its NATO ally, Turkey, and with little connection to its traditional markets and friends in the Middle East. Today, Greece has invested in the Balkans, enjoys a boom of exports to Turkey, is deeply involved in helping the Arab Spring, and is again becoming a transport hub between East and the West. This is the work of Europe. Instead of war and imperialism, today Europe exports peace, social and democratic principles. We support common principles, share common interests, resolve our differences through democratic processes. Many of us share a common currency. Today our nations not only enjoy the longest ever period of peace and stability, but we are engaged in daily cooperation. So if Europe is a peace project today, it is also a model of how we can face the challenges of a globalizing economy. So as I hear skeptics braying about Euro's imminent collapse or the failure of the European Union, I remind myself of why our union exists in the first place, of the vision of Chancellor Adenauer and Robert Schuman about our common European future, and why we must go forward with a renewed sense of shared purpose to strengthen our union and not abandon it. In today's world of climate change, democratic springs, mass migration, financial crises, the need for green growth, if we did not have a European Union, we would need to invent it. Otherwise, none of us would have the strength to face these challenges alone. The European Union has always been much more than a common market, even though we are not a United States of Europe. So if the sovereign debt crisis has strained European unity, here again, we can make this crisis an opportunity. Deeper integration, deeper understanding, greater oversight and control. For example, surely Greece, a small country with a GDP not much bigger than the German state of Essen, cannot be responsible for rattling the very foundations of the Union. Had the European Union the institutions of